You feel it from the first moment, the sharp, insistent weight pressing down upon your chest, a burden that has no visible form but is undeniable in its presence. Musashi was born into a world that offered no mercy, where each day brought duels, challenges, and the relentless grind of survival that demanded more than mere skill. It demanded the endurance of the soul. Pain was his constant companion, etched into the body, whispered into the mind, a whetstone sharpening him with every wound, every misstep, every moment that threatened to undo him. You recognize this in your own life, the invisible pressure of failure, the quiet sting of rejection, the gnawing conflict within yourself that the world refuses to acknowledge. It is suffocating, almost unbearable, and yet it is here, within this crucible of suffering, that clarity begins to form. Every pang, every scar, every heartbeat becomes a teacher, showing you the edges of your strength, the contours of resilience. Endure this weight, and you will discover a power that cannot be borrowed, a presence that cannot be diminished, and a self forged in the fires of what others flee from. Musashi walked paths no one else could follow, dueling alone in towns and forests, embracing the isolation that would cultivate his incomparable skill. Every encounter, every hardship, he internalized, allowing it to carve the warrior within him. You, too, know this sensation, surrounded by noise, by voices clamoring for attention, yet standing alone, disconnected from anyone who truly understands your struggle. Walking through this world feels like stepping barefoot across embers, each step scorching and shaping you, each moment of discomfort refining the edges of your being. Solitude exposes what you hide, even from yourself, fear, doubt, untested potential, and forces a reckoning. The fire of endurance is not gentle. It burns relentlessly, refusing to forgive weakness, demanding that you confront what is real beneath the layers of distraction and convenience. And as the pain settles into your bones, you recognize a quiet transformation. The coals that threatened to consume you have begun to form the solid ground upon which your inner authority will stand, unshakable and precise. Every duel, every moment of trial, Musashi carried more than a sword. He carried his mind into the arena, shaping it with the same precision he wielded against opponents. Fear, doubt, reflection, these were tools, sharpened and turned inward until the mind itself became a weapon of unparalleled clarity. You know the weight of modern pain, the emotional scars, the setbacks that replay endlessly, the constant chatter of thoughts that cloud focus and erode identity. Yet it is within this darkness, this tension between suffering and presence, that the mind becomes a blade. Honed in silence, sharpened by adversity, it cuts through illusion, distraction, and weakness. Enduring pain is the prelude to mastery, teaching you to confront the chaos of the world only after you have mastered the storm within yourself. Every thought examined, every fear faced, every scar remembered becomes a strike upon the steel of your consciousness, and through this relentless process, clarity is born. A mind prepared for trials no distraction could ever diminish. Fear walks beside you, constant and patient, shadowing every step you take, whispering that retreat is the only safe path. Musashi understood this intimately. His duels were not only contests against men, but confrontations with the shadow of his own dread. Pain and fear were not obstacles to avoid. They were instructors, teachers of precision, timing, and the boundaries of courage. You face your own shadow daily, moments of indecision, doubt, anxiety that gnaw at your focus and threaten to define who you are. And yet, the path is simple in its cruelty. Every encounter with this fear, Every choice to endure strengthens your resolve. Pain and fear, once recognized and faced, cease to control you. Instead, they become catalysts for power, clarity, and self-command. The shadow does not retreat, it transforms. The trials that once threatened to undo you are the crucible in which your spirit is tempered. And through this confrontation, you discover the invisible architecture of unbreakable strength. The void waits, silent and indifferent, yet full of possibility. Musashi learned to sit within it, to let the emptiness of isolation teach what the world never could. Reflection and stillness became tools of insight, intuition, and strategy. You, too, are called to step away from the noise, the constant pull of attention and distraction, to confront the turbulence within. Here, in this emptiness, pain does not vanish. It sharpens. It becomes fire contained within a furnace, allowed to burn only because the void permits it. Discomfort is not punishment but medium, shaping clarity, resilience, and understanding. The lessons are subtle, whispered between the beats of the heart, revealed only to those willing to endure the quiet, to lean into the pressure that society labels as suffering. In this crucible, pain transforms from enemy to teacher, and the void becomes the forge upon which insight and unshakable purpose are forged. Discipline is invisible, yet its effects are undeniable. Musashi's relentless routines, daily duels, and repeated rituals forged a mental and physical fortitude that no circumstance could diminish. Modern life tempts you with shortcuts, distractions, and fleeting victories, yet these only cultivate fragility. Each repetition, each act of focused effort, is a hammer strike upon steel, unseen but indestructible. True power does not demand recognition, applause, or acknowledgement. It exists because you endured what others avoided. Pain becomes a familiar companion, discomfort a constant guide, and through this repetition, the mind and body are tempered. The work is solitary, quiet, and often unnoticed. Yet every strike, every choice, every refusal to yield compounds into a strength no circumstance can unravel. This is the essence of endurance, the slow, invisible accumulation of power that becomes unbreakable because it is forged in persistence, not vanity. The world around you is noisy, chaotic, and indifferent. Each day delivers challenges, distractions, and subtle assaults on your focus. Musashi's lessons remain. Strength is a choice, cultivated through confrontation with discomfort, through resisting the lure of distraction, and through deliberate persistence. You navigate this battlefield every day, and with each act of endurance, you shape resilience that is invisible to the world, yet undeniable within. Small, deliberate actions compound, layering clarity, authority, and self-mastery until you move through life as one who is not easily shaken, a presence that commands its own space. Pain, when understood and embraced, is no longer a curse. It is the tool of creation. It chisels away weakness, defines boundaries, and sculpts a self that cannot be diminished by circumstance or society. This is the translation of Musashi's endurance into your life. Each trial, each discomfort, each silent victory becomes the architecture of your inner power. Musashi's strength was silent, profound and uncelebrated, forged in solitude and tempered in relentless trial. Strength of this kind is like rivers carving stone, invisible, slow, precise, shaping what cannot be broken. You are called to ask yourself, what unbearable trials could shape you if faced with courage? The suffering, the fear, the pressure, the relentless discomfort, these are not enemies, but sculptors of your spirit. Endurance is not suffering alone. It is the crucible through which you become unbreakable. A presence that moves through chaos with precision. A mind that holds clarity when the world is noisy and distracted. Sit with this truth. Let it echo in the quiet chambers of your chest. Pain is not absence, it is creation. The unyielding power within you waits, forged by fire, silence, and the choices you make to endure what others cannot. Asterisk.